Today we're talking about why others put INFJs on a pedestal. You've seen this. This isn't the first time that this has happened to you. You've met somebody and they see you as this perfect image of what they would want you to be. We've seen this as something that we're proud of. We've experienced this many times. But very often, once you've put on this pedestal, people expect you to be that version. And every single time you as an INFJ try to be yourself, you try to break out of that shell, what happens? People feel like you've manipulated them, they cut you off, they ghost you, they treat you really badly. And we don't know why that happened. What is the first thing INFJs do at that moment? They try to convince the other person that indeed they had no bad intentions, that they are trying their best. And it's something that we do on such a constant level, not understanding what kind of dynamic actually happened here, why this is going on, why the person put you on a pedestal. Were we expecting that? Were we doing things to make that happen? Is it our fault? And if not, is it our fault then when we step out of that pedestal? Is it something that we actually have control over? Because let's be honest, it hurts like hell if the person has put you on a pedestal, you feel like on cloud nine, and then it breaks off. Because it never turns out that after that you'll have a normal relationship with that person. It's always tension that is created, and it's always something that makes you feel bad. Before we get started, remember, if you want to take the next step in creating your INFJ epic life and you want my help with this, then work with me one-on-one. All the information you find in the link in the description. For the longest time, I always felt like people were putting me on a pedestal because I was so good at presenting myself. I always felt, okay, that's the appreciation that I was looking for. I want people to love me. I want people to like me, to admire me, to respect me. So this is something that makes me feel so good. And I've talked to so many INFJs over the years who've experienced the same thing. It's like a drug. It's something that once we experience it, we cannot let go of that. We want this so much. This is the typical love bombing situation, actually, when you have somebody who makes you feel so good at that moment and then they let go of that. They completely push you down. They completely don't understand you, don't want to be around you, or are really just mad at you. And this isn't something that only happens in romantic relationships. This can also happen with friendships, with colleagues, with mentors, just people in general who meet the INFJ. And so we have to ask ourselves, have we evoked this? Is this something that we want? What is the goal here? Is our goal that people put us on a pedestal and we stay there and it feels amazing forever? Yeah, maybe that would be a great scenario in your dream world, but it's not something that could ever happen in reality. Why is that? Well, the point why people are putting you on a pedestal is because they're projecting their image of what they're missing in their life onto you. That is something that INFJs are really good at, to allow people to project that onto them. Why? Well, our energy is based on that. We understand what others are missing and become that part. It's a skill. In many books, when it comes to how to influence people or how to make people think that they're getting what they want, that is a tactic that is being explained. And we do this on autopilot, and not because we have some devious thoughts, because we want to manipulate the other person or because we want to be admired. Well, maybe that could happen in the back of our mind as one of the reasons why we're doing it. But in the end, we're doing it because we can. It's something that happens almost automatically because it makes the other person feel good. And with that, it makes ourselves feel good. So at first glance, we might think that is an amazing thing to do. That is a skill that we INFJs have. Why is that something we shouldn't want? The problem with this is not the fact that we're able to do this. The problem with this is that we need that. That we actually, once we experience that, cannot hold on to that. So with every single time that we are in a position where we could have been put on a pedestal, we actually enable it. It makes us feel good. And we do this because most of the time we're not getting the love, the appreciation, the respect that we need, that we desperately need as human beings. We go through life and our first thought is, how can I make the other person feel good? We become what others need. We become that missing piece. And that person gives us love, appreciation, respect, whatever it might be. That is what makes us feel good. But see how this is all a conditional love, a conditional respect or admiration? You are being loved and appreciated for what you can give the other person. We've been conditioned like this since we were children, and we have conditioned ourselves as well throughout the years. Because when we're children, it's the first thing we do. We want to be appreciated. We need that on a psychological level so we know we're not being abandoned. And because we can do that, because our cognitive functions are so well developed when it comes to this becomes our go-to. And so when you see somebody and you see what they're missing, you become that missing piece. That's just what happens if you're not conscious about it. You can do it, it's easy, and on top of that, you actually feel that connection. It's the easy way out if you think about it. It's much scarier to say, no, I'm not gonna be that person that they want me to be. I'm going to show those parts of me that are all me, knowing that then the other person cannot project. Because then I become a real person. Then it's not just like this hollowed out version of myself that seems like this angelic thing and people can project onto it whatever they want, right? You become a flesh and blood person. And to stay there in this condition, knowing very well that you could act differently so that person could like you, is very brave. It takes guts in the beginning to get to that point. Because subconsciously we'll believe once we're in the state of I'm being myself, nobody's gonna like that. What for? We're not helping them feel good about themselves. We're actually probably even turning people off because of the strength that we show, because of this conviction of this is who I am and I'm gonna stand in my power. But that is exactly what we need to do. Because the thing is this, if you put yourself in a position where you being put on a pedestal, at some point you're going to fall off that pedestal because you cannot hold on to that image forever. It's too hard. It's not something that is sustainable. And on top of that, at some point when you meet somebody, you want them to like you for who you are. And that includes those parts that aren't in alignment with that version of yourself that has been put on that pedestal. And sometimes it even happens because you were just neglectful or a little nervous or whatever it is, and you show that true part of you. What happens? That person sees that and they feel manipulated. They feel like, oh, I thought you were this person. I thought you were just like me. I thought you understood me for the first time. And now I see, no, you're actually cold. You're actually selfish. You're different. All of those things are being put on us. And this thing actually brings this whole vicious circle to another level, because then we say, no, I just have to pretend more. I have to be better for them. I just want them to understand. So how do we get out of that? And do we want that? And the answer is yes, we definitely want to get out of it. We don't want people to put us on a pedestal, because guess what? You'll fall off it. Understand that this is not something that's real. It's not something that is sustainable. It's a skill. Just because you're good at something, that does not mean that this is the thing you should be doing, because it's not something that's real. I'd rather be disliked for who I am than to be loved for something that I'm not. It's a scary concept once you embrace it. It's scary to stand on your own and to say, if people don't love me for who I am, then that's it. I have to fight for myself. But once you're there to make that step, you see how much you fill yourself up. People are not going to get as obsessed about you as they used to. They're not going to put you on a pedestal. You're not going to feel this narcissistic kind of love that's being put on you. But you don't need that anymore, because you're filling up yourself so much that from that moment on, everybody that comes into your life just adds to that. You can still use this skill in your life. You can do it in order to make other people feel good. You can do it in order to convince people to be around you when you want something, but it's not a psychological necessity. And it's also not something to feel bad about. You're having good intentions at that moment. You want the other person to feel good. You want yourself to feel good. It's all right. And the great thing about this is once you step out of it, once you're willing for the other person to see your truth and you're willing to lose admiration from their side, you get so obsessed in a positive way about being yourself. It just feels so good. It fills you up. And so you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know I could pretend to be somebody else and people would love me so much, but I would actually like myself less. Now that I've dared to make that step, now that I've dared to step away from this dependency from others' admiration for what I do for them, and I'm willing to stand in my truth and saying, the way I am, I deserve to be loved, respected, admired, and who doesn't like who I am, really, that person does not need to be in my life. I don't need people who like me for what I do for them, if they're not willing to see who I honestly am and be okay with that. I don't need that in my life. You have the strength to make that happen. INFJs are very strong-minded. Those are the things that we need to do. I don't know if you've heard the saying, but I love it in this scenario. If you ask yourself, why have I become this person? Why is it so hard for me? Why do I have to take this immensely hard step? You are put in a position where you have to take that step because others can't. And once you take that step, you get to live out that INFJ epic life. You get to live out whoever you want to be, and you start creating from a completely different standpoint. You remove all of those scenarios where people put you on a pedestal, and at the same time, you start creating something that is continuously growing, that is full of love, appreciation, admiration for who you honestly are. But it only starts if you're willing to make the sacrifice of being put on that pedestal. If you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch that Ice Cold INFJ.